Welcome to our Complete Beginners Yoga course. This course is going to be split into 5 classes, and each of the classes is going to be themed around one of the yamas of yoga. You don't need to know what that means yet. I am going to explain it to you, don't worry. So this course is for people who have never done yoga before. Maybe you're a little bit yoga curious. Maybe you've always wanted to try yoga, but you don't know where to start. And I really want this course to be something that you can do over time. So don't think that you're going to have to get it all in one class. Yoga and learning is a little bit like painting a wall. We're going to just paint one coat and then we'll paint another coat later. So you don't need to get everything right in the first crack of the whip, the first go round. Also, remember, one, I can't see you. So please, if anything ever doesn't feel right, you are the expert in your body. I can give you suggestions around how the yoga poses are supposed to look in a general sense, but you're the expert in your body and you're the expert of your experience. So please go with what feels right for you. Say I'm saying bring your arms above your head and you feel, oh, that doesn't feel right. Don't do it. It's fine. Yoga is not about having a perfect pose, though you could be forgiven for thinking that when you see all the pictures of everyone doing handstands and putting their feet behind their head. But it's actually more about how you feel and how you respect your body. So please come to your mat with kindness. And that actually leads us very nicely onto our first theme. So, yoga, the yoga that I teach, the yoga that you generally see in yoga studios in the West, is comes from Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, which is an ancient Indian text which outlines the path of yoga and the way that the things that we need to do in order to be practicing yoga. And actually, the physical postures is only one of the limbs. And the first limb is a 5 part series of restraints. So I know when you start hearing about like morals, it's very easy to be turned off by it. So take this with what you need, listen to it, absorb it. I'm not pushing it onto you. I just want you to know that this is what we're practicing, and then you can decide for yourself how it feels. But just go with it and see how it feels. So the first one is ahimsa, or non-harm. And I think this is such a lovely place to start with your yoga practice, because we have, most of us, have been socialized and brought up in a society that's always telling us when it comes to exercise that there's no pain, no gain. And yoga is like the opposite of that. We want to be approaching our yoga practice with kindness. And it sounds like that should be really easy, but it's actually really hard. It's very hard when you've been socialized to always be going harder, to always be pushing yourself, to actually reverse that and to be kind to your body and to be kind to yourself is actually quite a difficult thing to do. But that's okay, because it's a practice that we develop over time. So I just want you to keep that in mind. There'll be parts in the class where I bring it back to this non-harm. And I just want you to keep that in mind, that it's very natural when you try something new to struggle with it, to find things difficult. But when you notice that you're being unkind to yourself about that, maybe notice the way that you're thinking about your body, or my one that I always have is, oh, I can't do that, or why can't I do that? I'm no good at this. Just notice in your mind when you start to do that. You don't have to change it. You don't have to, because then you end up in a cycle of beating yourself up for being unkind. So you're unkind to yourself, and then you beat yourself up for being unkind to yourself, and then you start being unkind to yourself about being unkind. We don't want to do that. We want to just notice it like a sense of humor. So you just notice it and you go, what am I like? What am I like? And it's the noticing it because it's really strange with these things. Once you start noticing your thought habits, you might notice that how absurd they are, and how you don't even agree with them anyway. So that's today's mission. I just want you to notice if at any point you start to become unkind about yourself and let it go. So we're actually going to do most of today's class standing up. If you're wearing socks, this is Maxwell, by the way, and you'll probably find her in lots of my videos. She's very loud. If you're wearing socks, take your socks off if it's warm enough in your house to do this. And the reason why we want to take our socks off is just so that we get sensory feedback through our feet. We wear socks, we wear shoes all the time, and our brains actually love to be able to feel our feet against the floor. That's how we've evolved. We've evolved to get sensory feedback through our feet. So if you can, practice your yoga in bare feet. If you hate having bare feet, don't let that be a barrier to practicing. But if you can, take your socks off. I want you to come to stand on the mat. Bring your feet hip distance apart. Now, whenever I say hip distance apart to everyone always brings their feet really wide. Now, I'm not talking about how wide you think your hips are. It's more, if you think about where the sitting bones, and whenever a yoga teacher is talking about sitting bones, they just mean the bones in your bum. Think about where the bones in your bum are and bring your feet to about that distance. For most people, that's going to be about one fist distance with the heels, but it might not be for you. So you can stand how is comfortable. And then I want you to see if you can bring your hips and just let your hips come over your heels. And then let your shoulders come over the hips. Relax the shoulders down, turn the palms to face forward, look forward, and imagine there's a piece of string just between your shoulder blades and you're being lifted from there, like someone's put a coat hanger in the back of your t-shirt and they're lifting you up through there. So you're trying to get a lovely straight posture. And this is called mountain pose or Tandasana. And when we're standing up, it's our base posture in yoga. We're just going to play with this a little bit. So I want you to see if you can bring the weight backwards to the back of your heels. Ooh, and you might start to fall over, and that's fine, but try to catch yourself before you fall over. And then start to bring your weight forward. And we're just going to rock between the front and the back of the feet. And just notice how much difference that makes to the whole body where our weight is in our feet. Ooh. And then just make that rocking a bit smaller and a bit smaller and a bit smaller until you're right in the middle between the two. And then I want you to notice your feet. So our feet they're like this. Imagine these are your feet. I want you to roll your feet to the outside and then roll your feet to the inside. So we're just playing with rolling the weight to the inside of our feet and then rolling the weight to the outside of the feet. You might even want to close your eyes here and really tune in to the feeling of your feet against the mat. Lovely. And then let's see if you can find that space again between the two. So you're not rolling them in, you're not rolling them out. Very nice. We're going to take the hands, you're going to place them on the side of the chest, so the side of the ribs. Keep that lovely length. And notice how, when you lengthen up through your back, you create so much more space for your lungs, for your breath. We're going to do a little bit, tiny bit of tuning into our breath. So you can do this with your eyes closed if you want. But I just want you to notice the movement of the ribs as you breathe. And hopefully, what happens is that as you're breathing in, your ribs expand. And as you're breathing out, your ribs come back down. Ribs expand. Ribs come back down. Ribs expand. Ribs come back down. Lovely. And let's see if we can just exaggerate that slightly. So I don't want you to take these big, deep, like breaths. I want you to think long, slow breaths, like you're drinking your favorite drink on a hot summer's day. So breathe in. Breathe out. And as you're breathing out, allow yourself to have a little sigh, like a little happy sigh. Ah, let's do that again. Big deep breath in. And then big deep breath out, happy sigh. Ah, lovely. We're going to keep that going. But as you're breathing in, I want you to start to float your arms up into the air. And as you're breathing out, you're going to let your arms float back down. And as you do this, notice the connection between your upper back and your arms. So, what often happens is when you start to reach your arm up, there comes to a point where your arm can only go so far, and then we start to open up in the chest like this. If you can, try to not open up in the chest. So, as you're bringing the arms up, the ribs are staying where they are. Now, that might mean that your arms don't come up as high as they would if you could open up in the chest. And that's completely fine because we're not bothered at all about how high up the arms go. We just want to be moving the breath in time with the body. Lovely. One more. Last one. And then we're going to bring both of our arms down. And I want you to just swing your arms from side to side. And see if you can get a soft, like carefree attitude to this. I want you to keep a really soft intention in your practice so we're not being hard. We're not, and it's really, especially if you're used to doing like other forms of exercise or you ever did PE at school, it's quite difficult to get out that mindset that this needs to be really like serious, but it doesn't. Yoga isn't serious. And then you're going to take your hand, you're going to place it to the side of the body, and you're going to reach your other arm up into the air. And I want you to really lengthen, so you're keeping weight through both sides of the feet. I want you to really lengthen up through one side of the body. Come up as high as you can through one side, and then we're just going to start to come over to the side. Now, as you do this, don't kind of go like this. I want you to keep space between both sides of the hips and ribs. So it's more that you're lengthening up so tall, you've got no choice but to come over rather than you trying to come over as much as you can. And then keep weight through both feet as you come back up. Let's do the same on the other side. Reach the other arm up, reaching all the way up through the side and come over to the side. Very nice. Big deep breath. Notice that space in the ribs. And then come all the way back up. You're going to bring both of your arms into the air. Imagine you're holding a beach ball And we're going to work. So what the aim for this is to start to isolate this part of the ribs, because what happens is when we start to twist, we sometimes bring our hips with us as well. So we're twisting like this. But I want you to see if you can keep your hips facing forward, and then we're going to turn from the belly, not the shoulders, the belly. So you're going to keep your hips facing forward, and you're going to come over to the side, and then back to the center, and over to the other side. Lovely. Let's just bring that back to the center and bring the arms down. I want you to take a big deep breath in, and as you're breathing in, you're going to reach both of your arms up, and as you're breathing out, you're going to come over to the side. Breathe in, reach the arms up. Breathe out, over to the other side. Breathe in, arms come up, and out, arms come down. In, arms come up, out, turn to the side. In, back to the center, out, over to the other side. In, arms come back, out, let them drop. In, sweep the arms up over the head. Breathe out, come over to the side. Breathe in, arms come up. Breathe out, go over to the other side. Breathe in, arms come up. Out, arms down by the side. In, arms come to shoulder height. Out, twist to the side. In, back to the center. And out, twist to the side. In, arms come back to the center. And out, arms come down. And then let's just swing from side to side again. Lovely. We're going to look at a pose called Warrior One. And the warrior poses are a really foundational poses in yoga. Whatever class you go to, you're probably going to do a warrior one in it. So let's break it down. You're going to start with your feet facing forward, and you're going to have your hips facing forward as well. So we're going to start in that mountain pose, that Tandasana position. And then you're going to take whichever leg. I don't do left and right very often. I normally do front leg, back leg. So I don't mind which leg you do first. I want you to send that leg back. And it doesn't need to come very far back at all. Basically, the further back you have the leg, the more difficult it's going to be. And what we're after here is for us not to stick the bum out. So in fact, come back to standing at the front of the mat, and I want to show you something. Imagine there is a bucket in your pelvis here. So I've just put a big bucket in your pelvis. And then I want you to see if you can tuck the tailbone under and imagine that you're pouring the water out of the back of the bucket. And then you're going to bring it back to the center and then turn it, and so that it's your, I can't think what this is called. I've just lost what this is called. So that you're sticking the bum out slightly and you're tilting, that's the word I'm after. So you're tilting your pelvis so that the water comes out the front of the bucket. And then just see if you can go between the two. So you're letting water out the front of the bucket and then letting water out the back of the bucket. So just little pelvic tilts. Lovely. And then come back to the center and try and get it so water's not going to fall out the front and water's not going to fall out the back. Now, when we're doing Warrior One, you want to make sure that no water is falling out the front and no water is falling out of the back. So when you step your leg back, I'm not going to say it has to be 6 inches, it has to be half a meter, it has to be this, because everybody has different length legs and everybody has different like flexibility. When you're sending your leg back, what might happen is that as you send your leg back, your pelvis starts to tilt like this. So you're only going to send your leg as far back as you can keep that pelvis in a neutral position. We're going to bring our front leg, so both of our hips are facing forward. And you're going to take that back leg, and I want you to turn the toes. Shush, my dear. We're going to turn the toes slightly out. So if I'm facing forward, I'm turning the toes ever so slightly to the side. So maybe to about 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock. So it's more out to the side. And you're going to have your hips facing forward. And then you're going to bend your front knee, and you're just bringing your knee in line with your heel. You're not, doesn't need to go any further forward than that. And what's really important here is that we don't let the knee roll in or out. We want to keep that knee in line with the heel. Oh, sorry, Maxwell. So when you found this, we're going to line our ribs up with our hips, and we're going to reach the arms forward. And then like we did at the beginning of the class, you're going to reach both of your arms up into the air. Relax the toes. Imagine yourself grounding down through the feet and lifting up through your upper body. Very nice. Remember, you're in charge. If this doesn't feel comfortable, you can come down. That's absolutely fine. One more breath here. And then bring the arms down. Let's step the feet together. Give yourself a little wiggle, and we're going to do the exact same thing on the other side. So you're going to step your other leg back. Have your hips facing forward, your back foot's ever so slightly turned out. We're only coming as far back with that back leg as we're not sticking the bum out, and then you're going to bend into your front leg just until it comes in line with the heel. And then you're going to reach both of your arms up into the air. Now the tendency here is to grip really hard with your toes onto the mat. If you're doing that, it's probably because you're not balanced, because you've got your legs too far apart. Also, some people bring their feet. If you bring your feet too far in like this, it's going to make it more difficult to balance. So you can bring it, if you're struggling to balance, it might be that you need to bring it a little bit wider. And then reach those arms into the air. Steady breaths. And then bring the arms all the way back down. Let's step the feet together and give your legs a little break, a little wiggle. Wiggle out through the arms. And then we're going to take the hands on the hips. And we're going to play with lifting up one heel. So as you lift up one heel, try to stop yourself from shifting to the side. Remember when we were doing that before? See if you can stop yourself from shifting. So you're going to peel the heel off the mat and then bring it back down. And then peel the other heel off the mat and bring it back down. You're just going to play between the two. And if you can, try and stop one hip from lifting as well. It's harder than it looks, so don't be like alarmed if you're struggling. And you can always hold on to a wall. Remember that non-harm. And then we're going to play with lifting the heel off the mat, turning your knee out to the side. Keep the toe down on the mat if you want, maybe hold on to the wall, or pick up the foot and bring it to just, I just lost my balance there. Bring it to just above the ankle. And then you might want to reach both of your arms up into the air. So again, we're keeping the pelvis facing forward. We don't want to twist on this bottom knee. And if it feels nice, you might be picking it up and bringing it to above the knee, but I like it below the knee personally. Lift up through the arms. And if you really want a challenge, see if you can turn the eyes and look up towards the ceiling. And yoga really isn't about being able to stand on one leg. It's about how nice you are to yourself when you wobble and you fall over. Bring the hands down, bring the leg down, just Give yourself a little sway from side to side. And we're going to do the same on the other side. So you're going to bring up your other heel. Let the knee come out to the side. Maybe pick it up, bring it to just above the ankle or just above the knee, whatever you like. Hold on to a wall or anything that you need to. And then if you want to, look up towards the ceiling, reach the arms up. Big deep breath. And then bring the arms down, bring the leg down, give yourself a little wiggle, and we're going to make our way all the way down. And I don't mind how you do this relaxation. We're going to be going through relaxations a little bit more in future classes, um, but the most important thing is that you're going to find this position relaxing. So for some people, that's going to be lying down on the floor. And for other people, that's going to be sitting up on a chair. And some people, it might be sitting cross-legged. Traditionally, we do it lying down. I'm going to talk about this in a future episode. But if that's not comfortable for you, sit however is comfortable. And we're just going to take a moment. Relax the shoulders down. Relax the jaw. Relax the face. Maybe turn the attention down towards the floor, or even close the eyes. Let everything float away. And have a moment where you don't have to think, feel, do, or be anything in particular. And exist exactly as you are. Non-harm isn't just the absence of harm, it's also kindness, the practice of kindness towards others, towards the world, and also towards ourselves. And this starts with the way that we talk about ourselves, the way that we treat ourselves in our minds. And these thought habits have probably developed over a long life, a long period of time. So they won't just disappear in a short time, they might never disappear. But what we can do is add new thought habits. So I want you to repeat these words after me in your head. May I be well. May I be free from harm. May I be filled with peace. And then just take the biggest breath you've taken all day. Give yourself a little wiggle. Take an even bigger breath than that. And I want you to think of something that you can do today to nourish yourself. And then just make a promise to yourself to do that. I'm really sorry about her loudness, but I'll be kind. And make a promise to yourself to do that. So thank you so much for doing that with me today. Please do comment, like, subscribe, all of those things. Let me know if you've done it, because it's really weird when you make a YouTube video because you put it out into the world and you don't really know who's doing it. So if you have done it, please let me know.